Hello again. Welcome back to Movie Ninja. Oh, it's less than 48 hours away from Thanksgiving, which means it's already time to start watching Christmas specials and movies and things. Now today, it's more of a theory video, but it's one that has just been kind of percolating in my mind for a while. And it really focuses on two distinct characters, the unsung heroes of a regular holiday classic. And of course, I'm talking about Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. In Home Alone 1, okay, we have Kevin, we have Harry and Marv and their antics and shenanigans and their goings on and like that. And we know as much as we need to know about these characters, you know, like this is a plucky, spunky little kid that, you know, uses tricks and just whatever he has around the house to repel, you know, intruders. Well, or his uncle and aunt's apartment, Brownstone, wherever that is. Anyways, okay, so we know about as much as we need to know. There's a little kid, he knows he's in danger, and he uses his wits and whatnot to, you know, like, deal with that particular situation. But there's two characters that hardly get any screen time, and yet they're incredibly thought-provoking as far as their story background is concerned. Okay, so let's start off with the first one, you know, Old Man Marley. Now, who's Old Man Marley? Old Man Marley is someone who is unfortunately burdened with just a bad reputation, it seems. Like, in one of the opening scenes of Home Alone, you have Buzz, unnamed male relative number 3, and then, of course, Kevin. Buzz, you know, happens to get their attention. Look, there's Old Man Marley. An old person? Wow! Okay, so he then goes on to tell them about how supposedly Old Man Marley killed his entire family at some point. And then somehow the police just kind of just let it go. They just let it go. Well, why? Because they didn't have enough evidence to convict. Bear in mind that Buzz is clearly... he's just messing with Kevin. The other kid that's like his exact same age, there's no reason for him to believe any of them. He even brings up a good question. Why, if he murdered his entire family, why didn't the police just lock him away? He's like, oh, they didn't have enough evidence to convict. And the older kid believes him. Shame on you. Shame on you for believing that. Anyways, okay, so back to Old Man Marley. So we don't know exactly what has happened in Old Man Marley's life to where he's gained such a terrible reputation. I'm willing to say that there was some personal tragedy. Undefined, we don't know, but maybe in his younger days, there was just some sort of family-related, like, accident of some kind. Probably happened in winter, because everybody knows that this happened in winter, and somehow he uses his rock salt as a disposal for the bodies of his victims, which, come on, yeah, whatever, it's nonsense, it's ridiculous. But I do think that something happened. And there's that scene in the church that provokes further, you know, like, what ifs. Whereas, like, you know, Old Man Marley, you know, he sees Kevin, you know, sitting in the pew, and he just introduces himself. He's there to listen to his granddaughter sing, anyways, in the church choir. He's like, you know, like, may I sit down? It's my old man voice. It's expert, isn't it? Like, you know, may I sit down? It's like, you can say hello to me when you see me, you know, across the street. You don't have to be afraid. You probably heard some things about me. They're all lies! Horrible, vicious lies, all of them. Like, he's aware somehow that he has a bad reputation. I mean, okay, it could just be bad blood between neighbors, perpetuating just ugly gossip and rumor. And yet, you know, like, when you introduce yourself to someone new, you shouldn't necessarily feel like you're obligated to say, like, hello, no, just a complete stranger. Hello. I just want to put something up front very clear. There's some rumor going around that I embezzled $5 million from my company, but don't worry about it. None of it's true. Oh, by the way, my name is no. You this is not the way you initiate greetings or meeting someone for the first time. So something may have happened in this old man's life that has spiraled into a life of its own, and unfortunately it frames him in a very bad light. What we do know about him is that he has this terrible rumor that is surrounding him like a cloud over his head, and unfortunately he's had a falling out with at least one of his sons, because we don't know exactly how much family he does have, but he has a little heart to heart with Kevin. There's enough. There's so much humanity there. Do you believe okay, obviously, people are telling lies about this guy, but not necessarily all of them. Okay, so once again, there's something that he knows that it may have been bent out of proportion, but there is something in his past that he knows. He kind of he claims that they're all lies. We don't exactly know what if. My conjecture is personal family tragedy. Maybe something winter related. Maybe he was out shoveling snow with a brother or cousin or somebody else. Took a slip and fall, and then just shovel hit someone the wrong way, and then unfortunately it was just an accident. This is something that I've given far too much thought to. And with that, probably some bad blood in the family, people started talking, and then it just kind of took on a life of its own, like I said. Something also that makes me think his hands aren't 100% clean, is that he knows the business end of a shovel fairly well. At the very end of the movie, you have Harry and Marv, and they've cornered Kevin, and it's we're gonna make you suffer the way that you made us suffer. And what they don't expect, they didn't check their six for old man Marley. Old man Marley is there with the snow shovel, just giving the business end of that snow shovel to two, I don't know, you could say hardened criminals. It's Harry and Marv. And they're not the sharpest spoons in the drawer, obviously, but still, for this elderly man to outmaneuver and outflank two career criminals and take them out with a snow shovel. Is this the first time that he's done this? Who's to say? The man's got some skills with a snow shovel. That's all I'm saying. And we don't need to really think too long and hard about it. That's just my theory is that this old man, unfortunately, at some point in his family's life, suffered some kind of a tragedy, and then the rumor just kind of spiraled out of control. The event of that rumor is apparently juicy enough to where people can make this kind of leap in fact, and people are willing to believe it. As this saying goes, no smoke without fire. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if you've heard a nasty rumor or gossip about somebody that you should automatically believe it. I'm just saying that there's just enough breadcrumbs in the film to kind of make one wonder, make one suspicious about this old man and his past. Like I said, a very rich background possibly for this character that we'd never really get an insight into. Not really. And that's kind of a shame, because there could be something there, or at the very least some rich family drama. It's okay, he had a falling out with his son, and then maybe that further alienation has made it difficult for him in the community, to where people simply just don't trust him, and they're willing to believe ugly and nasty rumors and things like that. But anyways, so those are just a few thoughts that I have on old man Marley. And now, gonna get into my favorite character, and I mean that genuinely. My favorite character in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, is... Well, she doesn't even have a name. She has a title. She has a nom de guerre, a legendary moniker, and that is simply Pigeon Lady. And someone out there is going to say, like, well, no, she has a name. What are you talking about? No, look it up. IMDb, Google, Pigeon Lady. You know, the Irish actress that plays her, Brenda Frickner. She had a limited career in the States. She did a little bit more theater. She did a few more movies, you know, in the UK, but not really you know, she wasn't someone that you put on the marquee, you know. She was a character actress. Now, the character of Pigeon Lady, I find enthrallingly just fascinating. Okay, so Kevin he's running around New York. He's getting into trouble, of course, because it's Kevin, you know. Eventually, he runs into Central Park, and he sees this woman who is, you know, unfortunately, she looks like destitute. She's very disheveled. She's wearing like haggard clothes, and, you know, in his like fear of this, you know, very ominous-looking stranger, he tries to run away from her, and unfortunately, he gets his leg stuck in a set of rocks, and, you know, instead of attacking him, because she didn't have any beef with Kevin, you know, she's just this little kid who, unfortunately, this is probably not the first time that, you know, like a small child or even a stranger has met her with apprehension and fear. So I mean, okay, she's used to this, and she even mentioned that throughout her limited screen time in the sequel. So eventually, they get to talking, and we get just a glimpse of her background. So clearly, she's an immigrant, you know, and she may have also had a professional career as a musician, you know, because he takes her to one of the opera houses in New York that she's familiar with. And he tells her, like, yeah, I've listened to some of the world's, you know, greatest music, you know, when I was here. Or just like, you know, when I stay here. So, you know, she has an appreciation of high culture, you know. And then she also goes on to discuss her past a little bit, saying that the man that she fell in love with fell out of love with her, you know. So what is this suggesting us? This is like, there's some kind of betrayal here. Something happened to where, you know, her life completely collapsed, probably due to an infidelity. I say probably because this is all guesswork on my part. But, you know, she mentions she had a job, she had a family, she had friends, and then just, you know, and sometimes personal tragedies really hit you hard, and just everything just goes away. You know, when it comes to how people just like approach tragedy and such. And, you know, then eventually, after years and years of self-imposed isolation, she became Pigeon Lady. She became Pigeon Lady of Central Park. Now, the very end of the film opens up a few colorful possibilities. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. Well, we know who she is. She's Pigeon Lady. Why is she called Pigeon Lady? Because she's in Central Park all day feeding pigeons. Right? And how does the film resolve? How does Home Alone 2 resolve? Okay, well, once again, spoilers. By once again, I mean the first time, because I didn't say spoilers the first time. It's a 30-year-old and 32-year-old film and sequel, so I'm sorry if I'm spoiling a holiday staple classic. So, Old Man Marley saves Kevin, and Pigeon Lady saves Kevin. A Pigeon Lady saves Kevin in an infinitely more creative way. Now, just bear with me, because I'm about to throw out some possibilities and some theories here. So, Kevin is being cornered by Harry and Marv. And this time, Harry brings out a revolver. And he's like, I never made it to 6th grade, kid. Looks like you're not going to either. And Marv takes notice of something wrong where they are. He looks up and he sees just tree branches saturated with pigeons. They're not nesting. They're just ominously perching all around them. Something is wrong here. Marv knows this. And Marv is not, like, he's clearly not the brains of the operation. That's Harry's deal. But something is wrong here. And so, out of the darkness, out of the shadows, comes Pigeon Lady. And what does she have? She has a bucket of bird seed. And, she makes herself like, Kevin, run, get out of here. And, Kevin, he bolts, obviously. And then Pigeon Lady, hurls all of the birdseed on Harry and Marv. And then what happens next is straight out of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. The pigeons swarm Harry and Marv and instantly overwhelm them. So what does this tell me? The thing is, okay, anybody who's been in a bigger city, in a larger city, like a metropolitan area, you really have to be on guard all the time. It's an unfortunate thing, but you could be in Los Angeles, you could be in Austin, you could be in New York. Fact of the matter is, if you're by yourself, you have to be on point with your guard, with your defenses, at all times. I think Pigeon Lady has weaponized her pigeons. Okay, now once again, bear with me. Okay, she had the bird seed at the ready, and she douses the bad guys with the bird seed, knowing that they will attack. Probably because she's done this maneuver on more than one occasion. Several occasions. Some of these pigeons, they could be a few years old. Maybe they've just always just done this. Whenever she throws seed on somebody, they flock to that seed, and then they just gab at them. And something else has come up. Okay, she has an uncanny, maybe even a supernatural connection with her pigeons. Some people say, it's a plot hole. How is that lady supposed to know that, where Kevin was going to be and where Harry and Marv were going to be? How? Isn't it obvious? The pigeons. Some people have a uncanny connection to certain types of animals. You have people have a very strong connection with cats. People have a strong connection with dogs, or horse trainers with horses and things like that. And some people have just a natural connection to birds. I think the birds act as her. Just imagine she has spent so many years with these pigeons that she has a connection to them. And she sees what they see, and she knows what they know. And so she just happens to have this bucket of plot resolution right here. And as the pigeons are swarming Harry and Marv, and Harry is screaming in fear and agony, but because he's being attacked by these birds, she's just in the like a Silver Age supervillain that Batman would have to fight for some reason. She is the Pigeon Lady. This means nothing to her. She's had these pigeons do this more than once. I'm convinced of that. So yes, there's that elegant personal drama that has unfortunately unfolded and collapsed her life. And then there's her coping by developing a supernatural control over her pigeons. Can you even imagine that? I mean, you have these, okay, you think of, local, no goodniks, right? And, like and you see them in certain like areas and neighborhoods or something like that. There's 3 or 4, and you can just you make a healthy guess that they're up to no good. And so, like, okay, like, yeah, you don't want to mess with these 3 or 4, you know, like unsavory types. But here's the thing, though. What if your posse, your crew, is 500 strong? Just imagine that. Just imagine that. And they're at the ready to attack anyone you throw seed at or give some sort of command to. You realize how insanely dangerous that person would be? You know? And some of you are like, okay, like, wait. How do we get here again? Because I was saying, you know, you have to be able to defend yourself. Especially if you're by yourself in a very large city, you know? You have to have a plan. And what's Pigeon Lady's plan? Her pigeons. They do her bidding. So like I was saying, you know, these are 2 immensely colorful, like more than we give them credit for. These are 2 colorful characters, and their background stories and their possibilities are far richer than a lot of the stuff that we see in the Home Alone movies. And I might get around to like talking about the Home Alone like movies proper at a later time, but I just want to put this out because also they're the main heroes of both films. They're the ones. Okay, yeah, Kevin annoys and harasses Harry and Marv, you know, and yes, okay, in the sequel when the stakes were like raised, like the Harry and Marv were going to steal money, charity money, you know, for a children's hospital. Yes, he undid that scheme, but unfortunately, if it was just Kevin by his lonesome, he would have he would have got taken out by Harry. He just would have. So in the first film, who ends up putting down Harry and Marv? Well, it's old man Marley and his skills with a snow shovel. And who ends up taking down Harry and Marv in the sequel film? Pigeon Lady. And one thing, she is like in the swarm of pigeons that just happen to overcome and overtake Harry and Marv. Like after she laughs hysterically, she disappears. And is she there to answer any questions to the police? No, because she's done this before. She's used her pigeons to eliminate possible threats. I fervently believe this. Anywho, like once again, these are just fun theories, like on my part. When you watch a film or films like on repeat, there's this wonderful like phenomenon that happens where you just think of new possibilities, or you see something new, or you notice something new time and time again. And it's easy to write off these family comedies as just silly family comedies, but these background characters, like even though their roles are limited, these background characters add a lot, both to the possibilities of story and of course they save the main character. So they're the real heroes of both films, you know, because Harry and Marv didn't end up killing Kevin on 2 separate occasions. Why? Is that because of Kevin and his little tricks and traps? No, it's because of these 2 background characters that should hold an immense amount of weight for the audience. So anyways, I'm just trying to give them their dues, you know. Old Man Marley, Pigeon Lady. I'm going to give you 2 because I don't want any pigeons coming after me. So yes, as you rewatch these annual holiday staples, just give a little extra thought to all the drama and the dynamic possibilities that these characters have. Thank you once again for joining me. I appreciate you watching this video, and like and subscribe, please. do you have any ideas as to like what the possibilities could be for their background stories? If you do, yeah, leave them in the comments. You know, that's one of the great things about, you know, these classics, these favorites that you have, is that, you know, the ideas just continue, you know, on and on year after year. Anyways, once again, thank you very much for joining me. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later on Movie Ninja.